When it was released with little fanfare, few expected it to make a ripple, let alone dominate the conversation. At first glance, it looked like another modestly budgeted short drama, destined to be quietly consumed and quickly forgotten. Yet within 24 hours, it detonated across social platforms, climbing to second place on the trending charts, surpassing 70 million inches platform popularity, and triggering a comment barrage so dense that viewers joked they had to pause the drama just to see the screen. What sparked this phenomenon was not merely the storyline, but the unexpected chemistry between He Yang and Liu Yuhang. Their pairing arrived without hype, yet landed with precision. The audience response was visceral, shrieks typed in all caps, screenshots snapped mid-scene, and reactions flying so fast they resembled a live variety show more than a scripted narrative. Watching became a collective experience, immediate, noisy, and intensely emotional. This success is particularly striking given the fierce competition. Several high-profile IP-based short dramas launched during the same window, armed with bigger names and heavier promotion. Still, this quiet debut cut through the noise. Wrapped in the familiar shell of a sweet romance, it delivered something far fresher, emotional authenticity. Instead of recycling exhausted tropes, mistaken drunken encounters, contractual compensation, or formulaic love arcs, a trusted character interaction to drive desire and tension. The takeaway is clear. Audiences are not rejecting clichés outright, they are rejecting emptiness. What they crave is sincerity, stories that respect their emotional intelligence and offer more than mechanical repetition. This drama succeeds because it understands that romance is not built on coincidence alone, but on rhythm, restraint, and believable connection. By the final episode, viewers are left with more than fleeting excitement. They walk away feeling seen, as if their longing for something genuine in an oversaturated market has finally been answered. In an industry chasing scale and spectacle, this dark horse reminds us that resonance, not noise, is what truly lasts. What might have felt outdated 5 years ago becomes unexpectedly compelling here, precisely because the drama refuses to overstate itself. The intelligence of this first attempt lies in its restraint. Rather than leaning on contrived misunderstandings or emotionally inflated confrontations, it places emotion at the center, and trusts the audience to feel it. The camera does not chase dialogue-heavy declarations. Instead, it lingers on reactions, on brief pauses, on subtle shifts in a character's gaze. Meaning is conveyed through the narrowing of physical distance, through shared breath and unspoken tension. Almost without realizing it, viewers slip into the scene, instinctively imagining, if I were there, my heart would be racing too. Within the short drama landscape, Liu Yuhang has long stood out for his precise emotional expression. His earlier pairing with Guo Yuxin once shaped much of the audience's imagination around Gao Zhangli's ambiguous relationships. Those stories thrived on emotional uncertainty, probing glances, push and pull dynamics, and a constant sense of distance that could be crossed at any moment. The appeal lay in instability, in an attraction fueled by not knowing where the line was, or when it might be crossed. This first collaboration with He Yang, however, clearly moved in another direction. The narrative no longer revolves around "do you love me or not?" Instead, it presents a quiet certainty, a mutual understanding that requires almost no verbal confirmation. The intimacy between the characters feels instinctive, even protective, as though it arises unconsciously rather than being deliberately performed. There is no flamboyance here, no exaggerated emotional signaling. The tone is calm, restrained, and grounded. Yet it is precisely this understatement that makes the connection feel more real and ultimately, more convincing. What the audience is responding to is not the performance of infatuation, but the feeling of a relationship that already exists. It no longer looks like two characters acting as if they are falling in love, it feels like two people who have long crossed that threshold. This is why viewers have offered such a blunt yet accurate verdict. Before, I was playing at liking someone. Now it feels like I'm actually in it. That distinction cuts to the core of the shift. The former is an emotional demonstration, the latter is the presentation of a state of being. While this kind of intimacy may appear easier to perform, it often demands a far more mature emotional understanding and a highly restrained mode of expression. This is not a step backward in acting technique, but a clear evolution. Liu Yuhang no longer depends on heightened dramatic conflict to validate emotion. Instead, he allows feeling to surface through detail, rhythm, and spatial awareness. Silence carries weight. Distance, or the gradual disappearance of it, becomes meaningful. In doing so, he moves from an actor known for creating ambiguity to one capable of carrying a relationship. The emotional experience offered to the audience shifts accordingly from momentary stimulation to something that invites trust and immersion, elevating the emotional density of short-form storytelling. Much of the discussion has centered on the kissing scenes, yet what truly makes viewers flush is never how bold those moments are. It is their lack of calculation. There is no reliance on ambiguity, no overused slow motion, no artificially manufactured emotional peak. The sequence simply approaches, hesitates, confirms, and then unfolds, exactly as it might in real life. That is what makes this intimacy almost dangerous. It feels real. The audience can sense the characters' breathing, their momentary hesitation, the quiet psychological testing beneath the surface. And once that level of authenticity is reached, it becomes impossible to look away. What defines these moments is not the urge of "I want to kiss you," but the far more delicate question, "If I take one more step closer, will you retreat?" It is this suspended uncertainty that tightens the audience's emotional grip. Especially when such intimacy appears in the very first episode, viewers are given almost no time to prepare themselves. There is no mental buffer to remind you that this is fiction. Your body reacts first, your heart accelerates, your breath shortens, and you may even instinctively look away, not because the scenes are explicit, but because they feel dangerously familiar. Like a moment many of us have lived through, yet rarely dare to revisit. This is why some netizens captured its essence so precisely. This is not about sensationalism, but about belief. Belief that the emotions between the characters are real. Belief that this closeness is not performed, but the natural outcome of feelings reaching their threshold. And belief that, at similar moments in our own lives, we too have hesitated, softened, and wavered. That is the most lethal form of intimacy. Interestingly, what truly pushed this pairing's chemistry beyond the script was not a meticulously designed confession, nor an emotionally amplified on-screen climax, but the unscripted moments off-camera. The director calls cut. The scene should end. The character should step away. Yet Liu Yuhang's movements remain instinctive, casually draping a coat over his partner's shoulders, lowering his voice, adjusting cuffs, gently reminding her of her mark. These details come without the dialogue, without close-ups, yet carry more emotional weight than any romantic monologue because they transcend performance. Acting can be rehearsed, emotions can be shaped, but the body's subconscious reactions cannot be faked. Such physical memory is formed only through prolonged interaction and repeated emotional calibration. The action arrives before conscious intent, and that is precisely why it feels real. These moments blur the boundary between character and actor. When audiences see Liu Yuhang maintaining the same thoughtfulness even outside a performance state, they cannot help but wonder, would he act this way without cameras, without plot requirements, without narrative motivation? That ambiguity fuels CP chemistry at an astonishing speed, inviting viewers to willingly surrender to it. This is why the phrase "publicly funded romance" once again rose to the top of trending comments, not because audiences are naive, but because these quiet, authentic fragments are more persuasive than any marketing language. They remind us that heart-fluttering moments are rarely found in grand climaxes, but often hidden in the smallest gestures of daily lives. He Ying's Rong Weiyu is neither naive nor ornamental. She is clear-headed, stubborn, rebellious, yet emotionally soft. Liu Yuhang's Fu Changshao is not a flat, cold-faced CEO archetype, but a man defined by restraint, calculation, and boundaries that falter in the face of genuine feeling. This is not a one-sided rescue, but a mutual emotional illumination. Ultimately, this debut signals a quiet shift in the short drama market. Traffic alone is no longer enough. Authenticity, emotional density, detail, and genuine couple chemistry are becoming core competitive assets. Audiences know exactly what they want, not clichés, but emotionally understood experiences. When viewers are willing to rewatch, screenshot, and endlessly discuss. The relationship has already transcended the plot itself, and that is where its true power lies.